All right. Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today for this session. Mr. Gaurav Shrotriya, that's right? Okay. Will be giving a talk about the convergence of AI across industries and our daily lives. Mr. Gaurav is working as a general manager of Conquest Sdn Bhd with professional experience spanning over 14 years. Mr. Gaurav now plays a key role at Comquest, working in the areas of business development, operations, and formulating processes, strategies, and technologies. Mr. Gaurav was instrumental in the formation of Comquest, a joint venture between Bahwan Cybertek Group and Esipadu Sdn Bhd, which is a company within the Darussalam Assets Sdn Bhd group of companies. Mr. Gaurav has also grown Comquest from an idea to a top digital transformation company that enables companies to delight their customers. Comquest has expanded from 20 to 400 employees under his leadership, and Mr. Gaurav holds a degree in mechanical engineering from Manipal Institute of Technology and has completed Master of Business Administration from ICFAI School of Business, Bengaluru. Mr. Gaurav has personal interest on food as medicine and holds diplomas and certifications from Stanford and Monash University. In this talk, Mr. Gaurav will be speaking about the convergence of AI across industries and our daily lives, including revolutions in healthcare, future of AI powered transportation, impact of AI on the future of jobs, and bursting myths of doomsday from AI. Mr. Gaurav will be answering any questions towards the end of the talk. So if so if anyone has any questions, for those online, feel free to comment your questions in the chat box. And for those that are attending physically, you can ask any questions by the end of his talk. So without further ado, please welcome Mr. Gaurav.
Okay. So I don't have to shout. Right?
Yeah, you don't have to.
Is that okay? You're no longer. Okay. Okay. So thank you so much for a gracious introduction. So I don't have to talk about myself, which is sometimes embarrassing. Okay. So we'll start off with the small disclaimer. I'm not an AI expert. So in case anyone is believing that here is an AI expert who's going to talk about programming and all the new things happening in the technology side of AI, definitely I am not the one. The last time that I did coding was in 2001 on simple C++ programming. So that's how old I am and giving away my age. Also, from the last session that you guys might have heard from Andy, and again, we work quite a lot, is that was very focused on hands-on work that DST is doing in terms of their digital work. Whereas what I'm going to talk about is a macro look of AI and what is the impact of AI in the business world across. Nothing specific to Brunei, nothing specific to any particular geography, right? Nothing in this session is my own creation. I've just done research. I'm an AI enthusiast, as the introduction also said. Okay, so when we talk about AI, there are just so many things. AI, ML, this, that, and everyone is talking about it. That it will take away your job. It will 300 million jobs will go, and there's so much of gloom and doom around it, right? So like many things else, it is very polarizing. So you are either on this side of the debate where you say AI is all waste, nothing is there, it's all same, or you're on the other side that it is going to kill the humanity, and one day it will go out of control and it will just press the switch and everyone will vanish, right? So these are two extreme polars. In my opinion, either of these are very extreme positions, and reality is somewhere in between, right? It's a gradient. People just like to choose their sides, on which side they fall on. Now, coming to the topic, what is convergence? So my topic said convergence of AI, right? So there is a specific reason why the topic is not called AI and its uses or something like that, right? The reason we chose the topic as convergence because AI or artificial intelligence at the core of it is nothing but simply the interface between a computer programming, which happens in the digital world, with something which is happening in the physical world, right? So digital world, physical world coming together, right? Whether, and then you may have a subset of it, machine language, and then IoT, machine learning, neurological, just so many things, right? Very, very different jargons that we can put around it. But the the real use of AI comes in when these technologies start coming together, right? And that is where the convergence happens. Now, a simple way, the definition that I have given is when multiple technologies that are individually growing, when they start merging with each other, right? They may be from different domains, but the moment they start coming together, they start creating this exponential growth. Now, a few examples are, let's say, what happens with the tablets, right? Mobile phones, tablets. Now, you had camera as a separate device, you had notes as a separate device, you had new radio as a separate device. All of them started converging into now a single device. Some of you, it looks like many of you are very youngster, may not even know that we used to have so many different devices for these things, right? Today, because they've all converged into a single device. Similarly, if you see Netflix is a very classical example. I remember back in, let's say, late 90s, early 2000s, we had to go and buy a CD, and then you need a player, right, to make these two things. So you can see in physical world, these two things are coming together. And now you add internet to it, you have Netflix. You can watch movies, you can watch series, right? While intuitively we may not think of it, but this is exactly what has happened. Multiple industries of movies, internet, streaming, production houses have come together, and you have Netflix, you have Amazon Prime, right? So this is a classical example of what happens in convergence. Another example is what is happening in the life sciences field. Earlier, it will take years and years to come up with a new discovery of medicines, vaccines. But as COVID has taught us, whether we like it or not, whether we are happy with the vaccines or not, but vaccines happened so fast. And the reason for that was there were multiple technologies that came together. mRNA as a technology was known for years and years, decades, right? But suddenly it came along with other technologies, and we had the vaccine which was developed quite fast. And believe me, it is not the first time that is happening. It is going to happen over and over again, right? So just for you guys to understand, this is the concept of convergence. Now, as I said, AI has been around for years and years, right? In fact, the earliest possible example that at least I could find of AI was going back to 1950s, when people started thinking of robots and what robots could do in future. Very interestingly, if you go back to what people were talking about AI back in 50s, and there are still articles, they were thinking of what AI would look like in 2000 and 2025 and 2030, right? It's very interesting for us to go back and visit there, right? How people at that time, which is not thousands of years, just about 50, 60, 70 years back, were thinking about these technologies. A lot of that has come true, but a lot of that was just fiction, right? So example was a simple movie like Terminator, right? It was almost thinking along the lines of AI, right? Where you can rebirth because of some technology, because of some chemicals, right? Now, some of that has not happened, while some portions of that has started happening, right? If you see some movies, even from late 90s, uh, Matrix and this and that, a lot of what they were thinking has started happening, right? Not to the extent, because some of them show an extreme, as I said earlier. Now, very seemingly unrelated use cases have started coming together, right? Uh, do we think AI can help us win lotteries? It has started happening. So there are recently a case where someone won $20 million lottery. So basically, it's an online lottery system. Someone wrote a program. That program just did a permutation combination and got a number, right? So that person just gave the system. Similarly, recently there was a strike by actors and writers in Hollywood, because they were worried that their work will be taken away by the AI, right? With deep fake and this and that, and chat GPT, the new buzzword, right, will take away the jobs. Teachers. So there is a growing industry where you will have your tutors who may not be physical human beings. That could just be an AI, right? Once your chat GPT is strong enough, or any other model, let me not say chat GPT, any other model is strong enough, they may be much better than your teachers. So they may be able to answer you, they may be able to tutor you, they may be able to teach you whatever you want. And even as doctors, right? The moment you have enough knowledge in your models, learning models, they will become better than doctors. So I have to just give my symptoms and I'll get an answer, right? Probably that may probably happen in 18 to 24 months, where these systems may even be able to prescribe you medicines. So I don't have to necessarily visit a doctor unless it requires a physical examination, right? There also, if you see, a lot of the doctors, they prescribe you medicine based on your narration of symptoms. So I may say headache and this and that. They will listen to that and then they prescribe you, not necessarily by looking at anything very prominent in your body, right? So why can't an AI system do it? Now, as we said in the topic, what I wanted to do as part of this presentation was to share with you, as I said, I'm an AI enthusiast, right? To share with you some of the things which are already happening, may not be happening in Brunei, right? But are happening around us, right? And these are very, very new ones in the last, let's say, 2 to 3 months. Everything in this, the use cases that I'm sharing are things that have launched or have been launched in the last 2 to 3 months. So first one is in the healthcare. Now it is very interesting that, sitting here or standing here, I know far more about things that are happening in, let's say, Ukraine or the US or the UK, their politics and all of that. But I have no idea what's happening just beneath my skin, right? Because it's invisible, right? Just a millimeter inside my skin. I have no idea how my heart looks like, how my stomach looks like, right? No one knows because it's all inside. So it's very strange if you think of it philosophically that we don't know, and that's why people suddenly get heart attacks and this and that. So many things are happening, right? So many people are falling sick to various kinds of things, viruses, bacteria. That's simply because we don't know enough about our body and what's happening just inside the body, inside this beneath the skin. Now there are companies which are setting out to change that, right? It started off with a revolution on CGM, continuous glucose monitors, right? Where I can put the monitor, and I used it for a few years, and I can know my glucose level at all times. So I can eat something and figure out how my glucose levels are going up and down. I can do my exercise and figure out what's happening to my glucose levels. So now there is a company, or rather few companies that I spoke about. And the reason I gave names is so that you guys can go back and Google and find out what they're doing, right? May or may not be available for any service in Brunei, right? So companies like Healy and El Nutra. So these companies are taking AI to the next edge in terms of figuring out what you can do for nutrition for your body, right? And so you can log in every part of your meal that you cook. You can log any and all the parameters that you are able to find, right, through blood glucose monitor, through insulin monitors, any of those things, and they give you a very personalized view of your body, which means on a day-to-day basis, you know what's happening, right? Sometimes the example that I like to give is, imagine yourself getting into a car which has no dashboard, right? So you have no idea how much fuel is there, at what speed the car will go, right? You have no idea basically no dashboard. Now, which is what we do with our bodies, right? When you wake up in the morning, there's no dashboard that tells us, whether I'm healthy, whether I'm sick, whether I have cold, cough. In future, that's likely to change, right? Very soon you will have devices which have started happening. Like I have my Aura ring where I can wake up and see how my sleep was, how much of stress I had throughout the day, right? This is just going to go to the next level where I will know far more data about myself, right? What's happening within us. And it is going to be beneficial, right? For some people, it may be scary, right? The moment you realize you have a tumor, you will start worrying about it, right? But I think that's a transitionary phase. 3D printing of organ models, right? This is very interesting because a big chunk of loss of life that happens is because of not being able to find a organ to transplant, right? Someone has a liver issue, someone has a heart issue, you just don't have enough donors, right? Now, where this industry is going is they have started figuring out ways to print some part of these organs, not the whole organ. We are still some I would say few years away, maybe 4 or 5 years away, but some part of heart and kidney have started being 3D printed, right? So they are able to print some part of these tissues through these 3D models, right? 3D printers. So that's again a convergence of healthcare, 3D printing, IoT, multiple things coming together, right? And there are companies that do this. Gene editing, another interesting example, right? This example is very similar to what we are here for, software industry, right? Google. Um, you can actually do coding on your genes, because genes are nothing but simply codes, right? It's a programming that you do. So gene editing using CRISPR technology, which was, again, some of these have been known for years, but it's just that they never came together. In the last 5-8 years, these technologies have started coming together. So let's say I have a genetic issue, basically some misfold of protein or something. Even if you guys are not from biomedical background, it's fine. Some issue which is at a biological level, which is at a gene level. Today, what is happening, the technologies are able to insert using CRISPR and other technologies, and they are able to cut that out. So basically cut a piece of code out, insert a new one, stitch it back together and send it back, right? Now this has started happening. So, and again, very early, some of these experiments, not experiments, I would say, some of these have been done on live patients. They've started showing very, very promising results, right? So if someone has issues which are genetic in nature, it could be anything, right? Starting from cancer to any n number of things. If this technology develops the way we think it is developing, bold prediction, but in the next 5 to 10 years, you may not have these life-threatening diseases at all. Like today, no one worries about dying from malaria, right? Because everyone knows malaria can be cured, right? But there was a time just about 50-60 years back where people could just die from malaria, right? Or very simple diseases, which seems simple today. So my prediction, or at least the way things look like, is in the next 5 to 8 years, right in front of our eyes, some of these diseases will become very easy to solve, simply because these technologies are moving that fast. Drug discovery, I think I already spoke about gene editing. Drug discovery is just a logical extension of that. The way things are happening in the chemical industry, the way we are able to find new chemicals using AI. So you are able to do multiple permutation combination of drugs and then combining it with the technology, right? Now this is something that I wanted to play. Let's hope this is one of the recent breakthrough that has happened, and I won't be surprised if it, at least it is visible in Singapore, if not in Brunei, in the next few years. Let's see if it comes up. Oops.
This is not a doctor's office.
Okay, I don't think it has audio.
It's Forward, the world's first AI doctor's office. It all starts with the CarePod, an entirely new approach to healthcare with prevention at its core. With health apps in every category to choose from, we're here to treat the issues of today and prevent the issues of tomorrow. We'll start by establishing a baseline of your health, diving deep into all aspects of your health: past health history, current health state, future wellness goals, body scan, biometric monitoring, blood testing, genetics, and more. It's all about understanding where you are today, where you want to be, and how to get there. After establishing a baseline of your health, you're able to personalize your care with health apps curated for you, like our heart health app, proven to lower blood pressure in 90 days. Powered by in-person and remote biometric monitoring, you'll be able to detect murmurs and other irregularities and lower your risk of a heart attack or stroke, with a focus on keeping you healthy. You and your care team will be equipped to make the right decisions for your long-term health. Or our skin cancer scan app to track and monitor things like mole growth, skin lesions, and discolorations over time. Or our mental health app to monitor anxiety and depression with ongoing guidance and support. Whether it's weight management, diabetes screening, or everyday care, like a routine blood draw, COVID-19 testing, or kidney and liver health, there's something for everyone. Because health isn't just about seeing a doctor when you're sick. It's about continuous, comprehensive care that addresses your health concerns today and prevents those of tomorrow. The world's first AI doctor's office. It's Forward.
So this one just came out maybe about a month or so back. This company has been working on this for maybe last 4 or 5 years. They just announced a huge funding. You can see what this meant. The first model of this could be expensive. They're saying it could be in the range of $100,000 or something to put one of those, maybe less. But as the time progresses, as these technologies pick up scale, I won't be surprised if you have one here, right, a small box here where the students come in, do their scan, get everything out, and by the time you are done, you will have your diagnostics and you will know what to do next, right, to take care of your health and become more, let's say, improve your wellness. So just one example of where the convergence of AI is happening, right? Some of these technology are not pure breakthroughs in medical sciences. It is the technology and the combination of AI. Now, the next sector that I thought was transportation. Again, a sector that has been around for so long, right? In fact, I don't know if most of you know, the first vehicles that came on road were actually not from the steam engine or any of those engines. The first vehicle that came on road were actually electric vehicles, maybe in 1900 initial, right? First decade of 1900s. But then it became so unsustainable because the production of electricity was so difficult that they moved to the steam, and then rest happened because of carbon and whatever. We found fuel, and it was much easier to run vehicles on petrol, diesel, any of those things. Now, if you see from then, not much has happened in this sector, right? Yeah, you have the planes and you have what else? Railways, and that's it. You've not had much breakthrough. You have fancier cars, of course, right? But nothing much has happened. The industry has not revolutionized. The first one that we think that may come in is flying cars, right? So as of now, we think it is still a remote model. It may or may not happen. We've been hearing about it for so long. Doesn't look like it will happen. I think this one already gave away. The reason I'm giving the name of the companies is because it has already been launched, right? So as we speak, the service of flying cars has actually been launched, and it is operational, right? So we think that this is still far away. You guys may be thinking it's still far away, but it is not. It is already here. It's just a matter of time how quickly it will reach, let's say, this part of the world from wherever it is right now. Let's say in the US, it's not too distant for us to think that we take a flying car from here and go to Miri or wherever for shopping and come back, right? Much which we still can do by driving, but maybe much faster, right? So next one is self-driving cars. Another, let's say, prediction that I would make is, again, I think most of you may know that self-driving cars have started coming in states of California and few others in the US. They already are on the road. There are taxi services running. So you have, Tesla is there. Tesla is not yet providing a taxi service for it. So if you see the Cruise, Waymo, Ghost, Autonomy, these are all providing commercial taxi services, which are self-driven cars, right? Tesla, you are the owner, right? So I can put a Tesla car on a self-driving mode, right? But here, these are cars which are driverless cars, driverless taxis, sorry, not cars, driverless taxis. So I go to an app. If you see this, if you go Google any of these companies, they have service where I can go to their app, give my location, a car will come on its own, no driver. I sit in, I tell my destination, it will take me there. That's all. So no one is driving the car. So the prediction is that by the time maybe you guys are my age, a little older than me, a lot of the people would have forgotten how to drive, because you may not need to drive, right? If these cars are becoming so intelligent now, where a lot of them can operate as a taxi service without any major accident. So again, important thing to know is their accident rates. Is this making noise? Okay, I'll put it a little down. The accident rates that these taxi services are facing are actually lower than the manual taxis, right? So at some point in time, I think as a humanity, we will all decide that, okay, these guys, the AI taxis, are maybe far more reliable than us, human beings driving a taxi or car, right? So then why should we produce cars with someone having the capability to drive? So maybe my son or the grandson may not even know how to drive, right? They will maybe think back and laugh at us. You used to drive a car, right? Why do you need to drive a car? It drives itself, right? So that this day is not too far away. As I said, it has started happening. Even in diagnostics, today, all of us who drive a car, servicing and this and that is a pain, right? You keep the car and then wait and wait and wait. The kind of, I would say, incremental changes that have been happening in that side of the industry, which is the post-sales of transportation, has been very, very weak, very manual. You have these garages, or even let's say any of the automobile companies, very slow servicing, expensive. So now there are companies, some of which I have mentioned here, like Sensigo, who are looking at completely revolutionizing what happens in the post sales, right? So the diagnostics of your car will become like what we saw AI doctor, right? You bring in your car, it diagnoses everything, maybe fixes also some of the things, and gives you the car. The moment that starts happening, a lot of industries will start shaking, right? What happens to the mechanics? What happens to people who earn money based on that, right? That's where some of the gloom and doom comes in. Self-package loading, again, an industry which may have impact on the jobs, right? And that's one of the reasons that I brought in, where you may have. I'll also play this video. This is launched by FedEx. So they have come out with this dexterity, and though it is not clearly known, but my guess is they would be commercializing this model. And I'm sure there are other companies like BHL and all who will be coming with an equivalent model of this, where loading of trucks, unloading of trucks, which is today completely manual activity, takes a lot of time and cost, will just disappear. The whole industry of people who load, unload stuff, even in the airplanes, may just disappear once you have this model that picks up. Right? This is the first stage in this. This is just launched about a month or so back. Right? So maybe 12 months from now, if this forum happens again, we can check on what happened to some of these technologies. I'm sure these would have progressed much more. The last one, I don't know if any of you have, I'm sure most of you have heard of Elon Musk, right? But what he did recently, right? He is on a mission to say that humankind as a species has to be inhabiting multiple planets, not just Earth, right? Very bold statement, right? He says the only way humankind can survive is if we can inhabit another planet. Now, Moon is out of the question. Moon does not have any conditions where you can have so many people. So the only place that he thinks of it is as Mars, and he's been putting money there, right? So he's been working on something called as Starship. Have any of you have heard of it? And Starship comes from the famous Starship, right? So just recently, I think 18th of November, they had the second launch of the Starship. Now this particular one is maybe 20-30 times bigger than the biggest rocket ever flown. Okay, anyway, the idea for this is for us to know, again, it is part of transportation. Imagine a scenario where a starship like this is able to take you from Earth to Moon, because his first plan is to take it to the Moon, have a landing station in Moon, refuel, and then fly off to Mars, right? So have a small transitionary colony in Moon where you can spend some time, get used to the space environment, and then move on to Mars. Right? Again, it's today it looks fantasy, but then if you ask your great grandparents that you could have a spaceship which will be going around the Earth multiple times and human beings will be living there for at least a year, they will think we are fools, right? It may never happen, but it has happened. It has happened during our lifetime, at least my lifetime. And I remember in 2000, early 2000s, when they were talking about International Space Station, it seemed like a fantasy idea, at least in the mid 90s, right? But it happened. Today human beings are living in International Space Station and they are living for a year. So why is this not possible? That too, if someone like Elon Musk is betting his bets on this, I see no reason why it may not happen. May take more time. Right. The question of what happens to the job. I'm assuming some of you will be going into the job market. Now, my take here is, yes, there is a lot of paranoia around what will happen to the job. Some of the examples that I also gave seemed to give an indication that a lot of jobs will go. But we have to look at history when we get confused in this kind of thing, right? It may look like, the chat GPT and OpenAI and all of those things which are happening recently, if some of you have been following, it looks like, life is going to change completely. People are going to lose jobs. But the way this particular report looks at it, and I sort of follow them, is they looked at the categories of jobs, right? So if you see the jobs in the red and the jobs in the blue, right? The jobs in the red are very heavily regulated in any country by the government, right? And government is going nowhere. No matter how much AI comes, you may never have AI running the whole government. AI will always be run by humankind, right? So the hospital services, college tuition and fees. We are sitting in a college, right? This industry is very regulated, right? The fee structures and what happens, the courses and this and that are all very heavily regulated, right? And then you look at the blue industry, right? The cars, the clothing, cell phone. There's a huge difference in these two industries, right? One industry is so regulated and it is becoming more expensive and expensive, right? The college fees, the hospital services are not coming down, right? Whereas you see everything in blue is the cost is coming down and down. I remember my first cell phone would have costed maybe $2,000, right? Yes, the first cell phone that we looked at was about $2,000. Not just many years ago, maybe just 15 years back, 18 years back, right? A good phone. Today you can get it in $100, right? So look at the shift that has happened in that technology. But a tuition fee of a premium college 15, 18, 20 years back versus now has gone up. So in the same time frame, one set of services are becoming more and more and more expensive, which means someone is making money. Other set of services are becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So someone is losing money, right? So which means technology is reducing cost in some places, but is not able to reduce cost in any other in some other places. So what will happen is there will be a lot more as the technology becomes better, as the people who, let's say, lose their job in loading, unloading, they will have to make a shift to other kind of jobs, right? And it has happened. So if you see a lot of these services which have been going, there used to be a whole, I mean, you may still have, but a whole industry of people who will just take photos and build the photos, right, from the physical reel. That industry has vanished. Today, no one has to develop a film because everything is digital, right? What happened to those people? They have done something, right? At one point in time, you used to have a big chunk of taxis in let's say, countries where higher population. A lot of them are today Uber drivers, right? So what happened to them? A lot of taxi drivers and all are, what are they doing if taxi services are being replaced by other means of transportation, right? So this move is logical and will happen. Does not necessarily mean that people are going to lose job and a lot of gloom and doom will come, right? It's just that there will be a transition from jobs that will most likely be handled by technology to jobs that will never be allowed to be handled by technology, right? While I'm saying all of this thing about healthcare, I'm not sure whether governments will allow that much of involvement of AI in healthcare, right? You will still want a nurse to come and check your pulse, even though you can put your hand in a machine and one machine will give you the same thing. But the comfort of a social being coming and, touching and telling you you are okay, a doctor coming and telling you, is something that we may not be able to get rid of, right? Despite all of those things coming, they may supplement some of that, right? So instead of me waiting in queue to get an appointment at JPMC or Repas or wherever, I may walk into one of these and get something done if I feel like. But I may still want to go and check a doctor, right? So that particular field will not go away. And it is likely to become more and more and more expensive, right? If I need to get a simple nail done at my house, maybe there would be an AI technology that I can call and a robot comes in and does it, but I may still want to call a handyman, right, who will come and do it, right? A carpenter, a plumber, those kind of jobs are very unlikely to be fully replaced by AI. So my conclusion from this is that the whole gloom and doom around uh, uh, job losses and what happens to all of us, and one big switch where everything goes away is not necessarily very logical. So last one, what happens next? All of this AI technology is moving, convergence is happening, all these industries are changing. Where do we go from here? Again, this is my opinion. right? No, there is no data to prove any of this. My understanding is convergence will continue to happen. It will happen more and more and more, right? It will happen right in front of our eyes. Sometimes we may witness it, sometimes we may not even realize it happening, right? The job market, as I said, will go towards these regulated industries from the unregulated industry, right? Technology will take away more and more jobs, but a lot of those jobs will move to unregulated markets or regulated markets. uh, yeah, new jobs will get created, right? There was no industry of Uber drivers, Grab drivers. There was no industry called YouTubers, right? During my school days or even college days, we had no idea of something called as YouTubers. People could make money from YouTube. That was an unheard concept, right? Today, people are making millions. Everyone knows Mr. Beast and how rich he has become purely from YouTube, right? So it's that industry never existed, and it's not just him. He employs 300 people, Mr. Beast, right? That job would not have existed 10 years back. Today it exists, right? The free, I don't know if any of you know of this site called Fiverr. If you have, it's a site for freelance work, right? If any of you are good developers, you can upload your work and you can get job done, or I can get job done from someone by paying them some money. Or if I have a skill, I can put up my skill there and get jobs, right? So I don't have to work for a corporate, right, like Comquest or DST, right? You can be on your own. And some of the as I said, I mean, in healthcare, um, the way AI is moving is, it may not replace doctors, but the technology that we saw just now will make the humankind better, right? In terms of giving us more information, allowing us to know more about ourselves, which we today don't know, right? As I said, I have no idea what's happening beneath the skin. So that will overall, I think, make the humankind better off, right? So this, again, the gloom and doom and the pessimism around AI should be replaced with optimism, that it is going to make us better. It is going to make us biologically better, technologically better, and we may have to transition our roles into something else, right? I may not have this job. I may have to find another job of a different nature, right? If in future this thing changes. Thank you so much, and open for Q&A if you guys have any, or thoughts also. It doesn't have to be question. I don't have all the answers, so you can share your thoughts.
Does anyone have any questions?
I think most of them did not believe what I said. Yes.
How has AI impacted your life personally?
My life, okay. Let me give. Okay, today I'm not wearing my ring. Otherwise, I would have shown you. So I went into a wellness journey, and a lot of that was helped by AI, right? So I use an Aura ring as I said, to check my sleep. I have a Lumen device which tells me whether I'm in a carbohydrate burning mode or fat burning mode. So it is. I had a CGM, continuous glucose monitor. So it helps me make right decisions in terms of my nutrition, exercise. Um, so if you had seen my previous self, it was about 84, 85 kgs person. And then I came down to whatever shape I am today, right? So I would say a lot of that was based on the data that I was able to collect. And this is all during COVID time. This is all last 3-4 years, right? Personally, in my life, that is how it helped me, right? In work also, I would say things like chatbots and all are things that we have been implementing for our customers, like DST. Since DST told about it, I am open to share. We work a lot with DST and other customers, so we have been helping in their customer experience journey, again using some of these technologies.
Any more questions?
Anyone, any thoughts?
Well, it's not really a question, but I do agree that when we like go to like maybe like watch fictional movies, fictional video games, we thought that that's not what we believe that it's in the future. But looking back, maybe if people play like Black Ops 2 or something like that. These are the things you see right now, you have to do it right now. So thinking, yeah, it's so advanced that we didn't. I think at that time our beliefs is that we didn't know this was going to happen. We
Yeah.
knew it's going to stay fictional. But for us humans, we are so curious that we go beyond that step and we make it reality, which we have seen right now. And always seen the conflicts from that. So that's a fact.
Right. You give example of a very interesting industry which I wanted to touch. The only reason I did not touch it because I don't play games. I'm not a gamer, but that's one of the most fascinating industry. In fact, it is, if I'm wrong, at least close to 70-80 billion dollar industry. It is that huge. A lot of us don't know. I'm sure there are some hidden gamers sitting here also, right, who may be gamers in their night life or in their nocturnal life. It's a huge industry, right? And the kind of changes that are happening in the gaming industry far exceeds some of the examples that I've given here. Again, as because I'm not a gamer, I'm not very well versed to talk about it, but I see, or at least I hear people. So let's say in the recent interview that Elon Musk gave, he spoke about a game that he's playing. I couldn't even pick up the name because, again, not so interested. But the game that he spoke about and he explained, it sounded so fascinating, right? And whoever has developed the game has gone so much beyond what we can think of now, right? And that game is a game that obviously people across the world are playing simultaneously, right? And it continues over a period of days, months, and they're hoping years, right? So it blows my mind how can you have something of that nature. So gaming is a fantastic industry. It's just that I don't know much about it. Thank you very much for bringing that industry. I should have given that reference.
Another thing I would say is that we want to successful. I think you can see something like similar technologies. Also,
Mhm. Yeah.
Right, so in the chat box, this user Shafiq Bakar was stated,
Thank you. Oh, okay. Thank you. This is someone who's joining us online. Oh, okay. Okay, there's someone who believes me.
Alright, is there any more questions?
I mean, we do agree. I mean, for me, right, personally, like all the other, all our previous history, we, like these ideas that were actually embedded within our lives and in the lives on. And then slowly we started seeing all these little advancements that go beyond our perception and understanding. So like we take it for granted in a lot of ways. So we don't really see just how far of its capabilities can make a difference in
Yeah.
our lives. And I think right now because there's such an increase in the research and development of AI, there's so much interest in AI. You can see that finally it's sort of coming full circle in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yes. So a different way of calling what you just explained is called thinking. Usually we are used to thinking in linear, right? So we go from 1 to 3, 4, 5, like that. What happens in technology, it follows Bohr's model, sometimes is exponential, right? So when you go exponential, number looks very small, deceptive, as you said, deceptive, and then suddenly it spikes, right? A negative example of that was what happened with COVID, right? You will have one case, then 10 case, then suddenly 100 case, and then 1,000 cases, right? Linearly, we are just not able to think how one can become 10, and then 10 can become 100, and then million or thousands, which is what is happening with the technology. Small changes, and when they come together, the exponential, the explosion happens in the advancement. Thank you for that comment.
Anyone else? Who would like to ask a question?
I think they've run out of questions. Sorry. Yes. Thank you.
So with that, we'd like to conclude the session. Thank you again to Mr. Gaurav for today's session, and thank you to everyone who Thank you all for joining.
Thank you.